Good morning, everyone. I was literally just in worship and I could just feel like the Holy Spirit, the presence of God, and He just unveiled some understanding, and I wanted to share it with you. I was worshiping to the song. I forget what it's called, but it goes like this: peace, bring it all to peace, just everything to peace. The seas that are raging within me, the thoughts, the chaos, the inner chaos, the outer chaos, everything, circumstantial chaos, bring it all to peace, God. And I have heard like some people explain that the reason why we have, as the philosophers would call it, which I believe this is kind of an oxymoron. I don't think it really fits, but natural evil. How can something be natural, be evil? And how can something evil be natural? But it's kind of just the problem of natural evil that a lot of, atheists have with how can a God exist if he is good and he's all powerful and he can do everything. And he is all knowing, then why is there natural evil? And when I was worshiping to that song, it was like God just unveiled this deeper level of understanding, because I've heard it said by pastors that the reason why there's sickness and there's quote unquote natural evil, or destruction, is because we live in a fallen world. And then they kind of just stop there and then they move on. And to me, like, even as a believer, I didn't quite understand the fullness of that. So we live in a fallen world, and now there's sickness and there's natural disasters. I just didn't understand the why or the how. So when I was just worshiping with that song, where it's just it's kind of prophesying over the inner and outer chaos, and it's pleading with God. It's for God, who is peace, who is our shalom, who is wholeness and completeness, and that's what the word shalom means, is just whole, complete. And He is our shalom, for our shalom to bring everything to peace. And it wasn't always like that. I want to just read from Genesis, because in Genesis, in the beginning, we see that all of creation, even the world, the land and the sea and the sky, everything was good and in right standing with God. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was unformed and void. Darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered over the surface of the water. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. See, here we know that we see that God divided the light from the darkness. Everything knew its place. Light knew its place. Darkness knew its place. And it didn't seep into one another. God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. So there was evening and there was morning one day. God said, "Let there be a dome in the middle of the water. Let it divide the water from the water." God made the dome and divided the water under the dome from the water above the dome. That is how it was. And God called the dome sky. So there was evening and there was morning a second day. So here we see the separation between land and the dome of the sky. Water from water, sky from water, sky from land. We see that everything knew its place. God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered together into one place, and let dry land appear." And that is how it was. God called the dry land earth, the gathering together of the water He called the seas, and God saw that it was good. Here we see that God divided the land from the water, and the water knew its place, and the land knew its place. God said, "Let the earth put forth grass, seed-producing plants and fruit trees, each yielding its own kind of seed-bearing fruit of the earth," and that is how it was. Here's provision. Provision knew its place. The earth brought forth grass, plants each yielding its own kind of seed, and trees each producing its own kind of seed-bearing fruit. And God saw that it was good. So there was evening, and there was morning, a third day. God said, "Let there be lights in the dome of the sky to divide the day from the night. Let there be for signs, seasons, days, and years, and let them be for lights in the dome of the sky to give light to earth." And that is how it was. God made the two great lights, the larger light to rule the day and the smaller light to rule the night, and the stars. God put them in the dome of the sky to give light to the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. Here we see again, God divides the light from the darkness. The light knew its place, the dark knew its place, the stars knew their place. Everything that lived in the sky knew its place, and everything was rightly divided. It knew its place. And God saw that it was good, so there was evening and there was morning, a fourth day. God said, "Let the water swarm with swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth in the open dome of the sky." God created the great sea creatures and every living thing that creeps, so that the water swarmed with all kinds of them, and there was every kind of winged bird, and God saw that it was good. Then God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful, multiply, and fill the water of the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth." So there was evening, and there was morning, a fifth day. Again, the sea creatures knew their place, the sky creatures knew their place, the land creatures knew theirs. And they were to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. And they knew their place. God said, "Let the earth bring forth each kind of living creature, each kind of livestock, crawling animal, and wild beast," and that is how it was. God made each kind of wild beast, each kind of livestock, and every kind of animal that crawls along the ground, and God saw that it was good. Everything, every creature on the earth was good in the eyes of God and knew their place. Then God said, "Let us make humankind in our image, like in the likeness of ourselves, and let them rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, the animals, and over all the earth, and over every crawling creature that crawls on the earth." So God created humankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, or created him. Male and female, he created them. Here we see God stating that he made male and female humankind in his own image and likeness. We are image bearers of God. And I believe that at that time, even gender knew its place. Even sex knew its place, biological sex. God blessed them. God said to them, "Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, and every living creature that crawls on the earth." Then God said, "Here, throughout the whole earth, I am giving you as food every seed-bearing plant and every tree with seed-bearing fruit, and to every wild animal, bird in the air, and creature crawling on the earth in which there is a living soul. I am giving as food every kind of green plant." And that is how it was. God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. So there was evening and there was morning, a sixth day. Thus, the heavens and the earth were finished, along with everything in them. On the seventh day, God was finished with his work which he had made. So he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. God blessed the seventh day and separated it as holy. Here we see the first separation between what is common and what is holy. Common is work. Common is creating. Common is laboring. But holy is rest. God divided between common and holy for the first time, and when he did that, he divided between the 6 days of laboring and the seventh day of rest. So here we see a couple of different things. We see that God, that even the plants that he gave us as food, he separated between, yes, we have dominion as humans over all of it, but he separated between what was deemed as edible and what was deemed as not edible. And then he separated between labor and rest. Because on that day God rested from all his work which he has created, so that it itself could produce. So that what he created, what he labored for, could produce. that is the key. Like, we are to rest so that what we labor for can produce. And it's just an act of trust. It's an act of trust that God will bring it into fruition. So just so that this is not too long of a video, I'm going to go ahead and upload this as part 1. And I just went through the first 7 days of creation, when we were, created and then living with God in, the Garden of Eden, the Holy of Holies. We were walking with Him. Everything was rightly divided. Everything knew its place, light from darkness. What creation, like the sea knew its place, the sky knew its place, everything knew its place in the beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this, and then we'll start what it all means in part 2.